Imagine waking up one morning, stepping onto a luxury private jet you never thought you'd even see up close, and then hearing the door lock behind you, realizing you can't get out. The engines are silent. The sky is not your view, it's the inside of an empty hangar. A man's voice echoes through hidden speakers, "Survive in here for 100 days, and it's yours." That's how Daniel's story began, the challenge that would push him to the edge, test his mind, and show him that survival is never just about food or water, it's about heart, hope, and the will to keep going when everything tells you to give up. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll see why his final day inside wasn't about winning a jet, it was about something far greater. If you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Everyday Gray Stories, because today's story might just change the way you think about endurance and life itself. Daniel wasn't the kind of man who usually took crazy bets. He was practical, a bit reserved, and carried the quiet weight of disappointment. His small business had failed 6 months ago, his apartment lease was ending, and his savings were gone. So when a mysterious millionaire offered him this survival game, Daniel thought it was a sick joke. The jet stood gleaming like a promise, white leather seats, a stocked mini kitchen, a queen-sized bed tucked in the back, and a gleam of chrome everywhere you looked. But there were rules. He couldn't leave for any reason. No contact with the outside world, except for a camera crew occasionally filming his progress through one-way glass. Supplies would be rationed weekly. If he quit early, even by a single hour, he'd walk away with nothing. The first few days were a strange mix of excitement and unease. Daniel explored every inch of the jet, its tiny bathroom, the hidden storage panels, the cockpit with instruments frozen in silence. The food was fine at first, fresh fruit, pasta, snacks, but the space felt smaller with every passing day. He started talking to himself, sometimes imagining conversations with friends he missed. At night, the hangar would go dark and silent, leaving only the dim glow of emergency lights inside the cabin. That's when his thoughts grew heavier, about his parents who had always wanted more for him, about the woman he loved once but lost when his life started crumbling. By day 12, the novelty was gone. Loneliness crept in like a slow leak. His rations were shrinking. Without fresh air, even the scent of the leather felt suffocating. He started writing notes on scrap paper, messages to himself, lists of things he would do if he got out. He made routines, exercise in the aisle, cooking small meals, pretending to host a talk show into the reflection of the cabin window. But even with structure, time was a strange enemy. He couldn't mark days on a calendar, part of the challenge was losing track of them. Around day 25, Daniel hit his first breaking point. The crew dropped his weekly supplies through a locked hatch, and something inside him snapped. "This isn't survival," he shouted into the empty cabin. "This is slow torture." He considered quitting, even pacing by the door, hand hovering over the emergency buzzer that would end it all. But then he saw the little notebook he'd been keeping. On the first page, he had written one sentence in big letters: "If you can survive this, you can survive anything." He closed his eyes, breathing deeply, and decided he'd push at least one more day. Days turned into weeks. Hunger was manageable, boredom wasn't. He learned to stretch meals, turning a single granola bar into 3 bites across the day. He rationed water like it was gold. He even started talking to the plane itself, naming it Grace, after his mother, who had always told him, "Grace isn't just a name, it's a way of surviving storms." Every time he felt like giving up, he'd put his hand on the window and whisper, "I'm still here, Grace. We're still here." By day 60, Daniel was thinner, paler, but stronger in ways he didn't expect. The man who once thought he couldn't go a week without comfort had learned to sleep through hunger pangs, to make peace with silence, to find beauty in the way sunlight spilled through the tiny round windows. But the isolation was starting to chip at his mind. One night, he dreamed he was outside, running barefoot on grass, smelling rain in the air, and when he woke, he cried quietly into his pillow. The final month was the hardest. Supplies were intentionally made more basic: canned beans, rice, powdered milk. He found ways to make them taste different, pretending he was a chef on a cooking show. But the mental strain was real. He would forget the sound of his own laughter, forget the feel of the wind. At one point, he wrote a goodbye letter to his future self, just in case he decided to quit before day 100, telling himself that quitting didn't make him weak. Day 95 came like a cruel joke. So close, yet so far. His body ached, his mind felt foggy. Every hour dragged like a year. He spent most of those last days lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining the moment the door would open. On the final night, he stayed awake, heart pounding. He wasn't thinking about the jet anymore, he was thinking about freedom, about calling his parents, about eating a meal without counting the bites. When morning came, the door finally clicked open. Light poured in. A small crowd of crew members stood there, clapping. The mysterious millionaire approached, smiling. "You did it, Daniel. The jet is yours." But Daniel didn't rush to celebrate. He stepped outside slowly, looking up at the sun as if it might disappear. He took a deep breath, the first real breath in 100 days, and whispered, "I survived, but not for this." Later, when asked in an interview why he didn't keep the jet, Daniel's answer stunned everyone. "I learned something in there," he said. "I learned that the things we think we need, luxury, comfort, prizes, mean nothing compared to what we really need: connection, purpose, love. I'll sell the jet. I'm using the money to rebuild my life and help people who feel trapped in their own way." The room went silent. And that's the heart of this story. Daniel didn't just win a jet. He won himself back. He proved that sometimes, the hardest places we survive are the ones that show us what truly matters. If this story moved you, give it a like and subscribe to Everyday Gray Stories, because there are so many more journeys of courage and hope to share. And remember, no matter how small your world feels right now, the door will open one day. All you have to do is keep going.